Hello everybody, welcome to your 2019 Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship sponsored by Prodigy Disc. My name is Kevin Jones and I'm sitting here next to my buddy and my teammate, Chris Dickerson. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing awesome. I'm really excited to watch this disc golf. We've got a kind of unique format for all you guys. What we've got, I believe, 16 players are going to be competing today, and 8 of them get to move on.
That's right.
Well, starting on hole 1, we begin with, I think, the hardest hole on the course. I'm going to check the stats real quick, but this hole is so hard. 390 feet straight down the tunnel. Personally, I'm laying up and trying to take a 3. What's your play on the hole, Chris?
Just blast one as far as I can and, hope for the 2 at best, but a 3 is not bad at all. I've heard some higher scores on this hole, and I haven't heard very many birdies.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many birdies have been made on this hole yet. If you're confident throwing a fairway driver down a really tight gap, that's what you're going to opt for. MJ is very comfortable doing that. He missed it a little bit left, but sneaking up into that area is not a bad result at all.
Yeah, as long as you get a pretty good ways down through there, you're going to have an easier upshot.
Yeah, it's very important to make it down the gap. Paul Omen from Evansville, Indiana. That was a little bit closer to the middle of the line than MJ, but he took a kick and he'll be scrambling for his 3.
Yeah, that's the thing with this hole. And a lot of these holes, you can be so close to your line, but if you touch a tree, it can send you in the worst direction.
So true.
Zach Melton from Gray, Tennessee, the only lefty on the card.
I do like this play for a sidearm. I think it or a lefty sidearm, I should say, because it just shapes pretty well. You're looking down the gap the whole time.
That's right. The most important thing is you can see the gap the entire time, and it's a really small gap.
Yeah, it's super tight. And finally, we have Matt Dollar from somewhere down in Georgia.
I think they said Swanee.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
Yeah, I believe you're right. It looks like everybody missed this fairway just a little bit left.
Mm-hmm.
Super common, nothing crazy about that. But now it's important that everybody gets up and down for their pars to start off solid.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to start off with a bogey. You can take my word for that. Paul seems to be in a little bit tougher of a place than Zach, but he does pretty good from there.
Yeah, that's fine. Getting yourself some kind of look is really important.
And one thing you'll notice, Dollar and MJ don't take very much time. They get to their shot, they see their shot, and they know what they're throwing almost immediately.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They pretty much just step up, look at the line, and then go for it. Oh, unfortunate tree hit right there. That's going to drop him to like 45 feet for his par putt.
This is Dollar's attempt for par, just a little on the soft side.
That was a great putt from NJ.
That's not what you want to start your round, but it feels great whenever you do get those putts to start your round.
Yeah, I bet his putter's feeling really good after that one.
Is that good? No. Why'd you lay up over here, though?
Paul from just outside the circle, I believe.
Looks slightly obstructed, but he cashes in. What a great par putt from Paul.
And I believe we'll have Zach and Dollar cleaning up. Zach for par, Dollar for bogey.
I believe so. So not a terrible start for the card. Bogeys are super common on this hole, but obviously if you're wanting to shred this course, it's pretty important that you secure a par here. Moving on to the next hole, hole 2.
Going into hole 2, it is an island hole. I think it is 333 feet. The island starts with the signs. It's not if you're dry. There's a little bit of area on the outside of the signs that you can actually skip up on, but that is OB.
Okay, so the walls are what are considered inbounds here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that you get your disc up and high so that it's landing in the island somewhere. It's not going to roll out of bounds, which is what the wall is protecting.
Yep.
MJ's going Comet, I believe, right there.
Yep.
That's going to hyzer out just a little bit early. He knew it halfway there also, but that's going to leave him a putt. I'm sure he'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I think most players, as long as you get it on the island, you're not really concerned with much else.
I'm going to say that Paul is going rock here. It looked like a rock-shaped disc.
He just had the height, just enough height to get there.
Yep, zipped it up there. Thankfully, it was a mid-range, so it had the speed.
Zach playing Enforcer.
Oh, nice. Now, that was really close.
Very close. He may have even touched the sign.
Once it started to hyzer out, I was getting a little bit scared, but he did what he needed to and got it in bounds.
Yeah, it was a good thing he threw a distance driver to get there.
Yeah, no joke. Dollar right there just threw a really good shot. Plenty of height, and it was actually headed right back towards the basket. Unfortunately, he caught a tree late, but that's going to happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Omen from just outside the circle trying to make himself 2 for 2 from circle 2. Misses just barely.
MJ doing the same.
Yeah, I think MJ is feeling it right now. That's a high miss for him. He's feeling pretty confident, it looks like.
Let's see if Zach can convert for the only 2 on the hole.
Well done. So Zach's shot ended up being a little bit closer than Dollar's, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize that.
It must have taken a big skip.
Yeah. Yeah, hole 2 is a really fun hole. It's one of the prettiest holes on the course, and the water also that we're throwing over is this really, really pretty but probably fake blue-green color that just makes the hole look really, really cool.
Yep. And we forgot to mention there's an ace bounty on this hole.
You're very right. If somebody were to ace this hole, how much money would they get?
$1,000.
$1,000.
I'm not completely sure, but I think it's every time you ace it, not a one-time thing.
That's pretty cool and important, if so. Very aceable hole. We might see something crazy within the next couple days. So on to hole 3. This is where we begin these technical par 4s that Hornets Nest, I would say, is known for. We're going through the woods here, just horseshoe all the way around to the right. Really, the basket is absolutely throwable if there were no trees in the way, but there's no way to cut the corner unless you get really lucky. The important thing here is hitting the gap and getting some movement to the right. That is early right, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, you just want to hit the gap, and he actually filtered quite a bit through there.
Yeah, the fact that that did not hit a tree is quite incredible. MJ going what looks to be the same comment as the last hole.
Yep.
Get over. Well done. He's going to piece this course together just like that. That's pretty much all that was necessary for a birdie on this hole.
Yeah, you just want to throw something straight with no left fade, maybe a little bit of right turn, and you'll be down there in a pretty good spot. Paul taking the same line as Zach.
A little early also. Pretty much anytime you miss that gap, from what I've noticed, is you're going to catch some wood.
More times than not.
Yeah. That looks good, Dollar. Dollar with a late flipper. Beautiful spot.
I'm almost willing to bet that's the best shot of the group. We couldn't see MJ's finish, but I think it went a little further than his.
Yeah. So it looks like Paul is cutting the corner a little bit there. I don't think he made it all the way up to the basket, but it is important to note that there is air up there, and there's not a lot of shrubbage, so high shots can filter through sometimes if you get in trouble. but that's also how you get in trouble.
That's right. MJ taking the fairway the entire way, the first shot, the second shot, and it looks like he has a inside the circle putt.
That was textbook for him. Total game plan.
And Dollar doing the same.
Yeah, these are great looking shots from these two gentlemen, getting themselves birdie looks on this very difficult par 4. Excuse me.
Catching a late tree there. That looked like it was going to keep panning to the right.
Those little upshots are always very important out here because you're going to be faced with them all the time. It's just crucial that you get up and down from your 150-foot range. With a few trees in the way, you have to get creative sometimes, but that's the fun of this course.
Good putt from Dollar.
Dollar's putting style is really just like visually satisfying for me. I don't know why, but he guides the disc into the basket, somewhat like MJ actually.
Mm-hmm.
Couple good putts from those two guys. MJ securing a birdie. I really like that play. Did he go comet, or did he possibly throw a different disc?
I think it was a different disc. I believe he marked the comet and laid it on the ground in front of him.
Oh.
I believe Paul tapping in for par.
I'm thinking so. Yeah, so we got a couple birdies and a couple pars. I'd say that's pretty good right there. I would be totally cool with a 3 or a 4 on this hole. What about you?
For sure. Yes, a 4 is not bad at all. But moving on to hole 4. Also a par 4. You want to play it very straight. You don't really want to go... If you bail out on one side, it's preferably the left. That just opens it up for a hyzer if you're a lefty, or if you get far enough, actually a righty can throw a little putter hyzer.
Yeah, that's true. This hole is so awesome. For being as open as it is, there's just not much room for error. MJ has played this hole a couple times, I'm imagining, playing it to the baseball fence. Everything around the baseball fence is good. Obviously, if you were to go over, you would be out of bounds.
Mm-hmm. And you can see the flags on the right of the tee pad. That's an OB line that runs straight down the right side of those trees in the fairway.
Yes, so Dollar's flirting with it, but not quite going to cross that line. He'll be in an interesting spot. Like you were saying, Chris, that's where you can look actually directly at the basket, but over OB the entire way.
Mm-hmm. Zach going mid-range. I believe that's an EMAC Truth. Just not trying to bite off very much. Just taking most of the danger out of play.
Yeah, he's totally taking the fade out of the play there so that he doesn't fade OB to the right.
This looks a little high. That helped a little bit.
Still a decent play. Anything up into that fence I think is scoreable, especially for a nice sidearm.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that. Zach going criminal. That's
Boom.
a great play.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I see exactly what Zach's doing. He's kind of taking advantage of his left arm. Not all of us have a sidearm to get there from where he did, so he played his nice power backhand hyzer. Got it really close. Oh, what a great turnover.
Paul almost running it.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And it looks like Dollar decided to go out and around instead of taking the shot over the OB the whole way.
Super high shot, but worked out okay. It's going to be kind of a tough putt for his birdie.
And this is rare, an MJ sidearm.
That is pretty surprising. Just having seen, obviously, there is a way to get there backhand, but he opted for the sidearm. I think it's just because that's the highest percentage play.
Mm-hmm. Looks like just catching some nubs and coming out.
Yeah, that was extremely close.
Paul in for his birdie.
That's a great birdie. Really impressive upshot, I would say. Super high sky Annie to very close to the pin.
Bob Ross in for his birdie.
That's right. I can't help but think it almost every time I see him.
Mm-hmm.
Still seeing some solid golf from these fellows. I'm enjoying it. Not bad scores after hole 4. We're moving on to hole 5 after a break from our sponsors.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Jones. I'm here with my brand new Prodigy BP3 V2 backpack, and I'm loving this thing a lot. It's extremely lightweight. It's carrying all the discs I could ever ask for. It's pretty sturdy and durable. I've got my 2 putters up here, no problem. Room for a towel if need be. It's really lightweight, it's extremely efficient, and for all you, it's extremely affordable, so come check it out.
Here we go, hole 5, par 4, 585 feet. This hole just brings back memories for me. Every time I see it, this is a hole that I remember watching on YouTube from, I believe, Jomez's first coverage ever. But it just brings back cool like memories for me because I was watching this on the internet, but now I'm here, I'm playing the course. MJ did. Everybody, that's what you're doing on this hole. There's nothing else. You're throwing a turnover mid-range, hopefully over the rocks, because that will actually open up your angle a little bit better.
That's right. The right side, I think, is definitely better than the left. The rocks are playing as a casual relief, but a little bit different of a rule for this, just because if you do land in the rocks and you try to take your casual relief, you may have, according to the normal rule, you may have to take it 100 feet or so behind just because of the way the rocks are.
Right.
For this tournament, they have a special rule. You can take it as OB, not with a stroke, but you can take your meter to whichever side it went in.
Right. So wherever it was last inbounds or out of that hazard is where you start your relief from so that you're not having to go back super far. We just saw a bunch of solid tee shots, but from right here, it's kind of hard to score for Dollar, especially with a backhand. Oh, that needs to sit.
That's very close.
That depends on what the spotter's going to give him. It looks out, though. He says, I don't know.
Ooh, it looks like it's hanging over.
I'm thinking we've got an inbounds frisbee. Dollar is going to be putting for birdie, it looks like. And now, here we go. MJ lining up another sidearm. It just plays for the sidearm here with the way that the ground slopes. And actually, over the hump that the basket is kind of on is a big old pond. So you don't want to go too high over the pond. You just want to throw it into the hillside.
Right. If you crest the top of that hill just a little bit higher than what that was, you are straight in the pond.
It would have to be, yeah. So Paul threw a really disciplined upshot right there, keeping his angle nice and flat and pushing it right into the basket. Zach is looking good, but it's a little bit sawed.
Oh, no.
That kills it. Ouch.
Out of bounds for Zach. He doesn't get the same break as Dollar, but he will have a putt to save his par.
Yep. Oh, so close from Zach, and that costed him. The sidearm for him, unfortunately, was just drifting. Took a huge skip, OB, and actually left him quite a long comeback putt. So Dollar, it looked like he put his mini outside of the circle to jump putt. He did not take a full meter relief, which is totally legal, and stayed outside of the circle.
Yeah, it looks like he was more comfortable with the 2 meters that he took. MJ with a solid birdie.
Very nice. Well executed.
And Paul looking to do the same. Good birdie for Paul.
And there we go. So it looks like we've got 2 birdies, 1 par, and Zach, I think, is going to take the unfortunate bogey.
Adding a little flair to his tap out.
Some kind of fun and games going on between the two. Both of those guys are top-notch competitors and so much fun to play with.
Yep, you were right about that. Moving into hole 6. Very straight shot. 453 feet. I actually think this sets up better for a lefty. Lefty
yeah.
backhand.
100%. Just playing into that slope. That slope on the right side of the basket is everything about it. So if you do have a lefty power backhand, you'll be able to have a little bit more room for error is the way I would put it.
They can turn it a little bit more and then not worry about the skip. Whereas a righty has to throw it on a rope the whole way and not get the skip.
Totally. It has to be very perfect for a righty. MJ, I'm pretty sure, just threw as hard as he could. I don't know if he's playing this one for birdie or not, but I would imagine he's just wanting to execute a really easy 3.
And this is looking like that rope we were just talking about. He takes a little bit of a skip, but he's going to have maybe an outside the circle putt.
That's like a very common result for a solid backhand. End up about 50 feet left, jump putt. Dollar with not a great shot at all, but he's going to settle down in an area where I think he'll get up and down pretty easily. And Zach, show us the lefty way. Prove us right.
Oh, no.
Not this time. Settling down. I think that's a pretty routine up and down for him as well.
I think so as well.
For all of you old school disc golf fans out there, this was the hole where Will Schustrick threw a cranked over Anheuser down the road and got it like skipping over and flipped over back in bounds really late. Just another memory of mine from when I was watching disc golf when I was younger.
Dollar challenging the road again, but looks like that'll be a 25-footer.
Oh, nice. So MJ was about 60 feet away. That's not too bad at all for him. And Paul looking 45 feet.
The car stopping for his putt.
Never awkward at all. He waves him down, though. What a gentleman and what a putt. It's a great birdie for him.
Zach left his upshot a little short, just inside the circle. But converts.
Boom.
Dollar making his from about 25. And that should leave MJ to tap in for his par.
Sure will. And so we had 16 players play this hole. 3 of them secured their birdie, 2. Those are going to be Drew Gibson, Brian Earhart, and Paul Omen, while 3 people also took a bogey on the hole. So pretty neutral hole, but also very scoreable. It's right there in front of you. There's a little bit of danger to worry about, but still a fun hole.
Going into hole 7, actually one of my more favorite holes out here. What do you think about this one?
I really enjoy this hole. I'm looking at the stats right now, and I'm kind of surprised. It says it's the 17th most difficult, so obviously the second easiest hole, which just seems really surprising because the tee shot is pretty specific. Like, you have to be in a very good spot on this tee shot to be able to attack the pretty covered green. The green is really protected. But the idea here is to get a shot anywhere in that area that Paul just landed to the tree line on the right side is going to be money.
That's right. There's a fairway on the right side of those trees in the middle and the left.
And no, MJ did not do what he wanted to there. He flipped it over a little bit early, and that's kind of what you have to go around. I'm curious as to what he's going to do from there.
I don't know how thin those trees are, so he may have got through, but if not, he's going to be fighting for a par, maybe even a bogey.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So Dollar, I've seen rollers work really well here. That's a great shot. and he's going to be in position to attack. What makes this hole so hard is the scattered trees throughout the middle of the fairway. Those trees are forcing you to push the disc right or push it left, but it cannot be right behind them or you're going to be really obstructed.
That's true. I've seen shots be really good landing in the middle of the fairway, and you just have an odd line because of maybe one or two trees that you line up with.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, MJ did push through to actually almost a scoreable position. So I think we found out that those trees on the right side are really thin.
Mm-hmm.
And MJ, this is the same play that I watched Chris, actually yourself, do yesterday. Roller is a great option for attacking this green. It penetrates the trees and gets him a great putt. But here's the other option, and that's a sidearm. Oh my goodness.
Almost making it.
He looked like he cut the corner just a little bit tight, but it didn't hit anything. That was headed straight to the pin.
Zach looking to do the same as Paul.
Yeah, that's money. I already know. That's parked. Great shot and great birdie. So these guys are making it look pretty forgiving and pretty easy, but to execute the birdie takes a couple pretty dialed shots.
And not a shot we see very often, a thumber.
That's just Dollar's game. He doesn't really opt for a forehand hardly ever. So if he wants the disc to be skipping and flaring to the right, he's going to opt for the thumber. What a great birdie with that nice putt.
Just a little high for MJ. Zach tapping in his birdie. Paul hoping for the same.
Yes, well done.
And I think Zach just got Paul with a, oh, I'll get your disc out of the basket, but left it in there.
Oh, psych. Yeah.
Well done.
Nice, Zach. Go ahead, Chris. Hole 8 is par 3, 285 feet.
That's right. It sits on a rock and on top of this, would you call that a pyramid?
Yeah, some kind of mound, a man-made mound. The basket is really elevated, though, so anytime that you're on the low side of this basket, it can become really problematic.
It's a very uphill putt. This basket is hard to park just because you can do it by getting a skip in front of it, but it's not very likely.
So Dollar just did a nice looking forehand there. I feel like I don't see that often. Was that Dollar? Am I crazy?
I think you were right. That was Dollar.
Interesting. So that was a really good looking forehand. If you ask me, this hole can be one of the more gimme birdies, but it's so important that you hit the gap here because anytime you're faced with an upshot on this hole, then it becomes stressful because it's hard to park it, like you said, and you don't want to be putting for 3 from like 30 feet. That's just no fun.
No, you don't. MJ being the only righty backhand on this hole.
Yeah, I even saw Philo Brathwaite opt for a forehand on this hole, so shaping a Comet. If there's any disc that could do it, the Comet could do it, but he left it a little bit left.
That's a really good out from where he was.
That was awesome. He was in some deep trouble, it looked like.
This looks like just a layup from Zach. Oh, no.
Whew. Somewhat of a bad result, but very, very makeable putt from him. Just super uphill.
And this is a very scary putt. It drops off pretty hard on the backside.
Yeah, air ball from Paul, but really nice speed on it to where he didn't go far past at all.
A very lofty putt.
MJ is just so close on his putts right now.
He is all over the basket.
And Zach showing us that it is very difficult to dial in the angle on this uphill putt.
He was maybe 20 feet away from where the base of the basket would normally be, but being uphill, that added 5 more, maybe 7 more feet.
Yes, definitely.
Dollar, the only birdie on the hole.
All right, so we've got one more hole left on the front 9. And so, Chris, you were playing yesterday. We've got a 3 down, a 3 down, a 1 down, and a 2 down. What do you think your thoughts are, like, whenever you're sitting about halfway through the round? Like, you know you're trying to beat half the field, but what do you think is the number that's going to do it for you?
I think I mentioned to somebody earlier in the week, maybe 3 to 5 would be fine, as long as, you know, you stay away from the bogeys. If you get 3 to 5 under, you should be in contention.
So pretty much if you shoot 5 or better, you're solid. You're going to be set.
Should be.
Stress-free. I think that's about right. This is another sweet par 4 that can just be pieced together. I'm expecting to see it from MJ. Let's see what he's doing here. Yeah, I mean, that's all you got to do. With nice finish into the gap at the perfect distance, like that is the ideal shot.
Mm-hmm. And this used to be old hole 1 before they redesigned. They had 2 layouts, the nest and the web.
Oh, that's awesome.
The nest is actually kind of where Paul's heading, well, was heading. It was a straight shot, and the web was the harder layout, the par 4 that they're playing to today.
Oh, so are we playing a combination of them now, or is there still...
With the redesign, I think the course is pretty just one basket, not 2 layouts. I think. I could be wrong.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid layout now.
I love it, personally. So MJ is going to show us how it's done here. He had a very, very clean upshot. Only a few trees to miss late in the flight of that disc, which he does. Paul Omen is going to be doing the same, but caught the last tree, no problem. Still inside the circle.
Just outside of MJ.
Yep. This is a hole where if you're in the spot that MJ was, it's a little bit less stressful. Still, though, takes a good shot. And if you're not in the spot MJ's in, then you can get creative with it and kind of try something crazy to just get a putt. So a lot of creativity involved in this hole.
That's right. From the tee, you have to hit a gap. Once you've hit that gap, you've got to hit another gap
Exactly.
for your upshot. Looks like Zach may be on the circle's edge. Just short.
Oh.
Those are the worst feeling putts. So many times you see those bounce off the nubs and go in, but at the same time, they can do the opposite. Bounce off the nubs and come right back out.
Yep. Just solid play from Paul so far. Looking like he's really trying to secure his spot for Saturday.
Ooh, a little on the right side. It's a good grab, though.
Yep.
And there we see a couple guest appearances from Eric and Tina Oakley, along with Calvin Heimberg.
Yeah, this format is so cool because anybody who's not playing but is around is going to come out and watch some awesome disc golf. Here's what we're faced with right now. We've got 2 4 downs. 4 down after 9 is looking great. And then we've got a 1 down and a 2 down. And those guys are simply going to have to put in some birdies if they're going to want to qualify for the next round. That's what's going to make this back 9 very exciting. So thank you guys for joining us for the front 9. Me and Chris had a good time, and we'll see you on the back.